out. This is our first video that we'll be posting over the course of the semester. The goal here is just to introduce myself, let you get to know me, and then also go over some of the course requirements, the things that are in the syllabus, show you around the website a little bit, and yeah, basically just get us started on the right foot for the semester. So the way I'm going to do this is share my screen. Hopefully right now you can see me and both the course website, which I've got up. So hopefully you've been here already. This is the Moodle page. This is going to be your primary go-to place for all of the course material. All the assignments will be handled and posted over here. So this is your number one place to go. The first thing I'll show you, because it will be relevant probably relatively often, will be the Ask Jason form that you see under the resources post here. So this is where you can come to ask any information about the course material, the course content, if there are things that are confusing, questions that have come up, things that we aren't talking about. This is exactly where you can go to post these sorts of questions, and I'll do my best to respond to them. I might do that in a video, I might do that by typing, but this is exactly that place to contact me. You can also contact me over email for more personal or individual questions, is the way I want to say that. So things related to your specific grade, your specific homework assignment, anything like that, then you can contact me at this email address, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll try to make sure I'm checking my email for the course and the course webpage at least once a day, every day. Okay, so as you can see, we've already got the content for week 1 made available here. So this is exactly how the course will go. It's at the beginning of every single week. You'll have the lecture notes, which we'll end up talking about in just a moment. You'll have the supplemental reading, the discussion questions, and then whatever the homework assignment happens to be, that'll all be made available under a weekly heading. So week 1 starting today, I've got the 3rd, but all the way through the 9th, and then we'll reset on the 10th and then go through another week. So we'll talk about each of these components as we go through the syllabus, which I will show you is also under the resources section, so provided right here. Let me go ahead and open that up for us to look at. So here we've got the syllabus. I'll keep this up to date over the course of the semester because you'll notice that there's a schedule in it as well. That schedule is subject to change. We'll do our best to stay on track. So again, like I said, my name is Jason. You can feel free to call me Jason. I'm perfectly happy to have that over email. If for whatever reason we end up having a video conference, you can call me Jason. It's perfectly fine. So I've provided, again, my email address on the syllabus so that you have it. My office, I'm currently in Minnesota. Doesn't matter. We're not allowed on campus right now anyway, but if for whatever reason things do happen to change in time and we do want to have an in-person meeting, you can find that here. My office hours, I will have, even though this is an online class, even though we're doing this digitally, like I said, I'm in Minnesota, so I am back shifted. Just something that I will keep in mind, but just so you know as well. But the office hours will be every Wednesday from 10 to 12 Eastern time. So that's just a time where I will have set aside that we can get on Skype or Google Meet or whatever your favorite platform is, and we can actually talk face-to-face about the course material, about your assignments, whatever's going on. This is just set aside for that. I realize that's not going to work for everybody, so I'm perfectly happy to hear alternative times that do work for you, and then we can set up a time to meet or chat or anything like that, but these are just, they're reserved for us. So I'm not going to go over the whole syllabus because the idea is that this video is under 15 minutes, which is the requirements of the software and the requirements of maybe your attention span and my patience for doing this. So I'm just going to go over some of the main parts, but I will suggest that you take some time to read through the whole thing. So in particular, make sure you go over the course policies, go over the university resources, and then maybe even take a little bit of a closer look at the general course overview. But otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So the general course overview, just very briefly, because this is what the lecture notes that are posted for this week talk about. It's basically what linguistics is and what we're trying to do over the course of the semester. So let me just say briefly that what we're set out to do here is explore the nature of human languages and how the study, the scientific study of language has contributed to our understanding of what is actually a very special and deceptively complex mode of communication. So just very, very generally, we want to know how people have looked at languages through the lens of a cognitive science and what we've learned from that, especially over the past 60 to 70 years. So we're going to do this by looking at some of the topics in theoretical linguistics. There's a video posted on the week 1 lecture materials that'll go over these things in sort of detail. But we're also going to look at some of the topics in applied linguistics. So we'll also talk about how language is used socially, how it sets up power dynamics, the way people can use it to mean things that they don't actually say. We'll talk about how humans actually acquire language. That's one of the first things that we'll sort of broach. Turns out that that's kind of a special process that's a little bit different from the way, for instance, that we learn how to play an instrument, or even the way that we learn to read and write. Later on in the semester, we'll talk about how humans actually produce and perceive languages. So these are going to fall under the topic of applied linguistics. They're a little bit less theoretical, a little bit more concrete. But we're going to go through these kinds of topics and just ask how people have looked at language through this scientific lens. Of course, you know that this satisfies your gen ed requirements, but as far as the specific learning outcomes, the things that at the end of this semester I'd like for you to be taking away, other than having an understanding of how people talk about language scientifically, is really being able to think analytically about human languages. So how do you take languages and deal with it as a data set? This is also involved in having information literacy, so understanding what linguistic data looks like and how to deal with it. We'll gain an understanding of the role of prescriptivism in society. So prescriptivism is something you'll learn about in week 1 lecture notes. These are those kinds of rules that tell us don't end sentences with a preposition, or you have to speak like this to sound correct or educated. We're really going to sort of look at those as myths and shut them down over the course of the semester. And then we'll also make sure that we have an awareness of the role of linguistic diversity in society. So how different dialects and different languages contribute to the richness of the human experience. So these are some of the more concrete things that I hope you take away. I've already showed you the course Moodle page. It's here. Here it is. Make sure you read over the requirements for the course. As an online course, you'll need to make sure that you have access to Moodle and so on. I've given you links for technical assistance if anything is a problem. So make sure you look over that. Now to the good stuff. The course requirements. What's going to be asked of you? This is really what I wanted this video to be for. Just so you know, your grade is going to be a weighted average of your average performance on 4 different components. Those include, and we'll talk about them in just one moment, the quizzes, which, God, they're kind of just like multiple choice homework assignments. You'll have some short essays. Those are going to be worth 30% of your grade. Back to this, the quizzes are worth 40%. There'll be weekly discussion topics that'll be worth 10% of your grade. And then there's going to be a final exam that's worth 20% of your grade. So I'm going to talk about each of these components right now, but you'll notice that I've also got the grading scale posted in the syllabus and the note that there will be no extra credit. So you'll need to make sure that you're keeping up with the work that's assigned to get an A in the course. So the quizzes, again, they're homework assignments. That's really it. You're going to have 4 of them over the course of the semester, and they're really meant to make you engage with the material that's being presented in the lecture notes, in the readings, and in the videos. So these quizzes will typically be somewhere between 10 to 20 questions on the basis of whatever we're doing in any particular week. And again, it's just supposed to have you engage with the material. So some weeks we'll have quizzes. Week 1 happens to be one of those. And it is in fact already posted on the Moodle page. You can see that available here. So this one happens to be 20 questions. You can click on this. Can I do it? Yeah. And then go and attempt it. So let me tell you a bit about that. They'll always be made at the beginning of the week in which they're due, and then due at the end of that week. So you have from today all the way until midnight on Sunday to complete this quiz. You have as much time to do it as you like. You can start it whenever you like, but to compensate that sort of freedom in how long you take and when you do it, you do only get 1 attempt. This says essays. It's supposed to be quizzes. I'll fix this. But essays will be due at the end of the week as posted on the schedule in section 7. So we can click on the 7. Here's our schedule. Spoiler, we just jumped all the way to the bottom. So we're sitting in week 1. It is May 3rd all the way through May 9th. These are the lecture notes that we're covering. And you can see that what's due by the end of the week is Q1. That's quiz 1. That's exactly what's listed right here. Okay. So let's go all the way back up to where we were. Right, so with the exception of no Moodle outages, you're entirely responsible for ensuring that all quizzes are completed on time. So there's no extra credit, there won't be any makeup quizzes, no makeup exam. Make sure you have everything done sometime in the entire week that you have to get them done. This last notice will apply to all of the course requirements. So if you don't have a quiz in some particular week, what you'll notice is that instead you have an essay. Let's not let that term be scary. Essays are only intended to be 500 to 750 words. So think about that like this. That's 2 pages of double-spaced text. These are really supposed to be a quality over quantity situation. You don't want to write them. I don't want to read them. So let's keep them short and sweet and just get in and get out. Of course, I want to read them. But the idea is that what you're going to be doing here is considering and applying the kind of material that's being presented in lectures and in the videos. So these will largely be an open-ended question about the kind of material we've been talking about, and your job will be to provide some evidence-based argumentation and reasoning to support a particular answer. So I'll give you some examples of those when the time comes. You'll see them. We'll talk more about those essays, but again, you'll have 3 of them, and their due is listed in section 15. Each week, I will also post alongside the lecture notes that we end up talking about some discussion questions. So these discussion questions get posted in, where is it? The forums. So for instance, if we look at the forums now, we have our week 1 discussion questions, and I'll post a couple of them. This time there happens to be 2, and your job is to choose just one of those and provide a very, very short response to those discussion questions. Something that just makes it clear that you're going over the lecture notes, engaging with the material, and so on. So a sufficient lecture note will make sure to answer the question in its entirety, and it will also be a unique contribution. So this is just me making sure that people aren't copy-pasting other students' responses or just saying things like, yeah, ditto, you know, she nailed it, let's just leave it at that. So you actually have to provide your own answer to the question. There is no word count, but again, these are supposed to be nice and short and sweet. Let's say, you know, like 250 words maybe is when you realize that it's time to stop. Okay, so if you have questions about these discussion questions, feel free to ask. Hopefully after going through the lecture notes, they're kind of obvious what we're looking for. And then finally, there's the final exam. That'll be completed over Moodle using a Kendi. I'll give you more information about that when the time comes, but it'll be completed sometime between June 22nd and June 24th. I will give you more information as soon as I can. Course materials. So each week there will be lecture notes and videos. The lecture notes, oops, sorry, that was my email. The lecture notes are the things that you see here listed as books. These are for you to look at and read through. They're made of multiple sections. They will have videos contained in them, and I'll always note whether or not the video is optional. So if a video is purely optional, I will say you can watch this optional video. There's a 1-hour video this week that, you know, go through if you want. It's a lot of fun, but you don't have to sit and watch an entire 1-hour video. I will also post, along with the lecture notes, supplemental readings. I've got like 30 seconds to wrap this up, but you'll have supplemental readings that are to be done after you go through the lecture notes. So the lecture notes are kind of guiding you. And that's really it. My video ends in 15 seconds, so I'm going to wrap it up. If there are any questions, post them in the Ask Jason forum. Otherwise, I'm really looking forward to this semester. I'm looking forward to getting to know you, and we're going to have a lot of fun. All right, take care.